Hey, Young Teacher Christmas here, coming at you with another video. Today we're going to talk a little bit about rainproofing Christmas displays. Now, there are some people in the animated Christmas light hobby that across the US have days where they just call them rain delay days. So if it rains, they turn their display off because they have too much trouble with the GFCI outlets or ground fault current interrupters tripping and causing the display to shut off, or portions of the display to shut off. So what I'm going to show you is some of the tips and techniques that I learned in the well over a decade that I was a Christmas lighter in Oregon's Willamette Valley. So some of you may know Oregon's kind of known for its rain, and over there, we'd average between 58 and 63 inches of rain a year where I live. So quite a lot, not as wet as some other areas that I know. One year I taught in an area on the Oregon coast, and in the year before I got there, they had over 120 inches of rain. So imagine 10 feet of rain that fell. So I do have a lot of experience on how to get these displays to run in the rain and run rain or shine, rain or star twinkle, whichever it is. But yeah, for over a decade, I battled rain. Now, there are very few days that I ever was completely down. I can remember one year that I think we got over an inch of rain in an hour. It was literally just coming down buckets, and I was there with an insulated stick, just poking my GFCI, resetting it every time it tripped, because if I remember right, it was like the Saturday before Christmas, and our display was absolutely packed. Our cul-de-sac was full of cars, and there were people that came from all over to see our show, and I really wanted it to run. And I battled that for about an hour and a half. I would come in and change clothes and go back out because I was drenched. And finally, I did have to shut down the display, but that was at a rate of over an inch an hour. And when you get that much rain, and the rain is physically sheeting off of your decorations, it's really hard to keep things going. So let me show you a couple of things that are just notorious issues in a display and kind of how to correct and fix those. So we'll talk about this one right here. This is a metal wireframe, and this is a wireframe of a kneeling Mary, so for part of my nativity. Now, these wireframes, all of the Christmas lights are clipped on here with a, come on, focus, there we go, with a plastic Christmas light clip. They're clipped on with a plastic Christmas light clip. In this case, these are black, and I have some other ones where they're actually white. But this is a powder-coated 1/4 inch round stock, and this wireframe is made out of steel. Now, the electricity can escape, came back in focus, it can escape out of these Christmas lights. So the reason that it does is right up here, there is actually an open space where water can go in and out. So Christmas lights have a little metal or a little brass tab on one side that's just crimped onto the wire. And they slide this on, they crimp them, then they arrange them inside. So this is completely open. This is just a standard consumer incandescent Christmas light. Now, I do have some. Okay, we'll go over and look at some in a second. But yeah, this is open on this end. I do have some that are not that way. These are a sealed commercial Christmas light. So this is molded around the wire, and it's been glued, and it's designed to not have issues with water. And that's an LED, sealed LED. The reason I don't use LEDs on my Christmas light frames is I think I get better color and control out of incandescents like this. So I'm still using incandescent on my light frames, whereas my yard grid, these are all LED. But either way, even the cheap LEDs are going to have these open spots there. So this is a 50 light string on here, and there are two 50 light strings on Mary. And you've got, of course, the openings on the plugs, and then you've got the openings on every single Christmas light bulb So on a 50 light string, you've got like 52 connections that are open to just the atmosphere. So when people come along and they will take electrical tape or outlet protectors that you normally use with babies, and they'll cover these up. What they don't realize is really they're not doing any good. So what if you cover 2? You still got another 50 connections that are open to the environment. So there's no reason to do that. The other thing is these plugs are actually hollow, and they will actually fill up with water if you're in a wet area. And keeping those plugs in there will keep that moisture trapped in, and it can cause problems. So I always face my outlets down. It allows any water that gets in there to drain, and then I don't cover any of those connections because it just doesn't make sense. So getting back to GFCIs, so with this, you can get transmission of electricity down to the frame, and then if it gets down to earth, that's where your GFCI will interrupt it or trip. So you'll notice that on my decorations, this is actually an electric fence post. So they used to sell these at Home Depot. Home Depot stopped selling them in store. I think you can buy them online. I found some other ones, the ones that the hippos are on back there. I found those at a farm store for like $2.37 a piece, but they were white, so I had to paint them black. But all of my metal wire frames are actually elevated off the ground. So they're elevated off the ground, so there is no grass and no dirt touching any of my light frames, and they're all insulated with an electric fence post. That means that if it's raining in my display, I don't have electricity going down to ground through a short circuit and tripping a GFCI. Now, I know some electrical guru is going to come into the comments and correct me on all this. I'm just trying to do this as basic as I can to let the average homeowner understand. Basically, you got electricity leaking out, it hits earth, and it trips your socket or your outlet. So my way to do that is just to prevent the electricity from reaching the ground by elevating my metal wire frames. Now, the other thing that can cause issues is any of these plugs that are attached here. I've got all of those facing down, and I also elevate them off the ground with a stake. And I do that in addition to the plugs themselves. I do that with all of the string lights too, because remember, we've got a hole here, and actually there is technically a hole here on these light strings. So if I can keep those out of the dirt, I can keep them from transferring electricity to the ground and tripping my GFCI. The other thing is, and this goes in a little bit of your science, pure water doesn't conduct electricity. Come on, where are you? Focus. Okay, it's not going to focus. Pure water doesn't conduct electricity, but if you add minerals to it, it becomes a really good conductor. So therefore, if my lights get dirt in them, it makes it an even better conductor to getting electricity to earth, and I don't want to do that. Oh, hello, Leo Christmas Kitty. Leo, you want to say hi? It's a flyby of the Christmas Kitty. Leo is always out here whenever I am. You want to say hi, Leo? So last week I got the display up in quite a hurry. I wanted to get it running so that it was running at least the first week of Christmas. And we weren't expecting any rain, so I just kind of haphazardly laid my cords down. Luckily here, again, if you've heard me mention it before, we only get about 11 or 12 inches of rain here a year. So very few times is it actually raining. We are forecast to have 80% chance of rain today. So I'm going to go ahead and go through and pick up all the outlets that are on the ground. I'm just going to elevate those with a simple stake, and I'll move on to the next one. So I'll do a few of those, let you watch that process. And it's pretty straightforward. Grab a stake, grab an outlet, poke it in the ground, get it in the air. Whoops. Hazards of walking through the display. I think that's actually most of them. But anyway, it goes fairly quick and easy when you have a smaller yard like this and a smaller display. But anyway, I hope you're enjoying, hope you're learning something. Ag Teacher Christmas out.